remember this very simply by remembering the name Kelly. Okay. The word Kelly means to be a pot. Okay. And we want to talk about this pot because we're going to find out how it is connected to us. Okay. So the first letter of that word Kelly, and make Kelly your friend. This is how I remember Hebrew words. I make them people. I have a brother named Kelly. So I always say Kelly, and I already know that he's a pot. Right? So I look at him like, okay. So the first letter of that is a palm, right? And so, we understand that. And you can see that by the shape of the letter. And the next one is the staff. That's a lamed, right? And so we have the palm staff, right? And then the last one is the hand, a yod. So when you put all that together, what you have here is the Most High is saying that my hand tames. Okay. My hand tames. The my right here is the yod. Yes. The hand right here. Okay, that could be the hand too, right here. Okay, the tame is the lamed. So what this is that, remember, never forget the Yah is a shepherd. Okay. What else is he? Yah was my shepherd. I shall not want. What else is he? What other titles does he have?
Authority.
He's authority. So he's a king. He's a judge. What else is he?
The Father.
Hmm. What?
Father.
There you go. He's a father. And there's the other things that he's called. Okay. So in his idea of taming, because he needs to tame, anything that Yah is going to use has to be tamed. Okay. And you say, well, how do you tame a pot? Right here, he's talking about taming you as a person, right? Or an animal, because he's a shepherd. And when the shepherd's staff is in the hand of the shepherd, he's talking about his sheep. But also, too, there's other things that disconnected. Kelly is a vessel. So whether they call it in English a pot, okay, it's a vessel. There's a reason why the Most High is saying to pour that living water into this vessel, right? So it's a vessel. So I want to talk to you a little bit about Yisrael, because Yisrael is a vessel, okay? And it's a nation that has to be developed, and it's a nation that has to be shaped, and it's a nation that has to be formed. Its character needs to be changed, okay? This word came to Yeremiah from Yahweh, get up and go down to the potter's house. Yah is a potter. There I will tell you more. So I went down to the house of the potter, and there he was. He was working at the wheels. Whenever a pot he made came out imperfect, the potter took the clay and made another pot with it, and whatever shape suited him. Then the word of Yahweh came to me, house of Israel. See, the word of Yahweh came to me to tell Israel this, house of Yisrael, can't I deal with you as the potter deals with his clay? Says Yehovah. Look, you, house of Yisrael, are the same in my hand as the clay in the potter's hand. So he sends Jeremiah down there just to make some visual observations. Visual observation is to gain knowledge. So the Most High wanted him to see with his own eyes what was happening. And he didn't go down there for just, 10 or 15 minutes. He went down there to make observations and to gather information, because the Most High wanted to tell him something. He wanted him to have an idea about when he did say what he wanted to say. See? So for example, I'm sitting here, I could tell you all day that Yah is a potter. Okay. But until you go watch a video and show how it's made, you won't have the real full understanding. You won't. But here's the point. Whenever he would make a pot, and we know that pot, what's the name for the pot in Hebrew? What's your friend's name?
Kelly.
Your friend, his name is Kelly. Whenever he made Kelly, and Kelly came out imperfect, the potter, he would take the clay and he would make another Kelly with it, and whatever shape suited him. Because why? Because Israel is the same in Yah's hand as the clay in the potter's hand. So Yah's letting us know that whatever I intend on doing, I'm going to do with you. Okay? And he's more specifically talking about the nation of Israel, but that's collectively, but individually, it starts with the individual, then we become a nation. Remember, he said, I'll start over with you, Moshe, to make a whole nation out of you. See, so all of us are active participants in the growth and development of our nation. So what the Most High is letting us know is that he's told Israel, he's already informed Israel. We're looking at the past, which is our future. That nation and that in particular generation was imperfect. They weren't suited the way that he wanted them to make. They came out a certain way, which he's talking about our ancestors. And so what did he do? What did the potter do? He said he just turned around and he actually destroyed it, and he took it and made another pot. He made another Kelly. And he's going to shape it what suits him. And so Yah says, I'm going to do exactly the same thing. So what's going on with us is you and I are those vessels. We're the vessels, not listen to me carefully. And I'll speak for us because we're the ones online. And we're underneath the sound of Yah's teaching here. You and I are the ones that are being made again. Yah was not satisfied with the one that came out before. He didn't like it. So he said, I'm going to do something different with it. And it's his right to do whatever he wants to do with it. Whatever Yah wants to do in our lives, everyone, he's going to do it. I've been saying this. If Yah's not satisfied the way that you and I are coming out, it's his right to do whatever he wants to do with you. For me, like I said, I had a hard time. Why would you make me disabled? Why would you take away, I used to be a bodybuilder. Why would you bring me down to 160, 75 pounds? Why? I used to be 205 or 210. Why would you do that to me? Why would you take away, my businesses, my multi-million-dollar businesses? Why would you allow that to happen to me? Why would you, break me, right? Why would you allow me to be, from a single parent home, grow up poor and all that? Why? Why did you allow me to go through these different situations? Why are you allowing me right now to go through what I'm going through? And there's not a scripture here that I could put up. He says, what right does the clay say to the potter, what hast thou made? That's in Isaiah 45. You and I don't have a right to ask Yah about why he's doing what he's doing. You don't have a right because you're the clay. You're in his hand. The clay cannot talk to the potter and say, make me this way. He's talking to me and he's talking to you. Make me this way because I want to be this. Well, what if I don't want you to be that? What if I want you to be this? So there's no back and forth. There's no negotiating between you and me and the Most High. And we're going to convince him to be something other than what his intention is. You see, it's like a father that has rights over his children and says that this is the way you're going to go. And they're saying, no, I don't want to go that way. I want to go my own way. And then when the father says it to the son that I'm not satisfied, this is what I want. This is what you're supposed to be. And you're not that. So I'm disappointed. The father has a right to be disappointed. The son can't ask the father, what makest thou? The Most High said that too in Isaiah. It's like a child coming out of the womb of a mother and say, why did you make me a girl? Transgender situation. Why am I a boy? You don't have a right to say that. There's just some things that you and I don't have no rights in because we're created beings. We're the clay, folks. The Most High told us from the beginning that I made you from the dust of the ground. You're in my hands. And I'll shape your life the way that I want to shape it. I'll move you wherever I want you to go. I'll send you wherever I want. I'll bring whatever I want to bring on you. I'll test you whatever way I want to, like I did to Abraham. I'll let you go barren, like Sarah. You don't think they had questions? Rivka did. Rachel did. She questioned Yaakov, why am I not pregnant? Why are you talking to me? I don't have the power that Yah has. You see? We have to be careful because you and I are vessels that are made for Yah. And whatever he decides is what he decides. And that, me personally, that's been a hard thing for me. That's been one of my toughest things. You know, I might say, yeah, I've overcome some things. I might say, yeah, I understand some things, but it's been tough because I've always wanted to be something other than what the Most High wanted me to be. That's just what it is. We have to accept what Yah says. That's my point. Okay. And Yah's doing something in us that he didn't do with these other ones. He's not satisfied with the previous generation. So he decided to make a new generation of Israelites. And here we are today. When Yah would use a clay pot in the service of the tabernacle, anytime something was boiled in it or cooked, it had to be broken. It had to be broken, right? But if it was in a bronze pot or a vessel, it would be scoured and rinsed with water. I asked myself the question, why? Why is it that the clay had to be broken and the bronze can actually be cleaned out? Well, in my discovery, I found out the clay holds a lot of impurities. It absorbs impurities. It's porous. And it can absorb, okay? So the Most High doesn't want something that holds impurities to absorb holiness, okay? Again, holiness and to be set apart is very, it's very different than what you and I understand, okay? So this clay has a lot of impurities. And even after it goes through these processes of being kilned and all this, it still is able to absorb impurities, okay? Just like you and I. So when we talk about impurity, because that's what this is about, because remember it talks about the clay, okay? It has impurities in it. And that's a big deal in chapter 14 and chapter number 15, more specifically in 15, it talks about these impurities. So all of us are like someone that's unclean, right? Not just talking about, you know, the people that are on their menstrual cycle or somebody had a seminal emission. This is Isaiah talking to all of us are like someone unclean. All of us. All our righteous deeds like menstrual rags. They're covered in blood, right? That's going from day to day to day to day and haven't been changed because we're bleeding, right? We're impurities are coming out. We wither, all of us. So if these ideas right here, this uncleanness, these menstrual rags, these withering like leaves, has to do with death. And all of our misdeeds blow us away like the wind. So once we fall off a tree, we're like leaves. We're just withering away, right? And then we fall on the ground and then the wind just takes us away because we don't have any sustaining life in us, okay? So leaves do fall off trees, but there's a season in which it's supposed to, right? But he's saying this is what we've been the whole time, right? And if you look in chapter number 26 of Isaiah, it talks about we're supposed to be the salvation for the world, and we didn't bring forth what we're supposed to bring forth. And I say we because we're part of the house of Israel. When you talk about we, you are talking about your ancestors. Don't try to separate yourself from them. Let Yah do the separating. You and I right now, he talks to us like as if he's talking to them. You're the children of those evildoers. All the evil that you've ever learned has been from those people. And all of a sudden, you're going to try to disassociate yourself now that, you know, you found out you're from the Torah. So no, you are connected to them. We are, okay? This impurity in the Hebrew is called tameh. Tameh, like Tammy. No. If anybody named Tammy, don't get mad at me. Call this one here Tame, like Tammy, right? That's another friend that you have. So you got Kelly, and then you got Tame. So Tame is uncleanness, right? And the Tame was used all through chapters number 12 all the way to chapter number 15 right now. That's what we've been talking about. And I want to give you a little bit more understanding about Tame. Okay, so we're going to talk about her. Okay, such is the Torah for the person. Okay, this is the soul who has a discharge. For the man who has a similar emission that makes him unclean, Tame, and for the woman in Anita during her menstrual period, for the person, man or woman with a discharge, and for the man who has sexual relations with a woman who is unclean. So there's a Torah, there's a prescription in which the Most High has instructed the children of Israel to follow because they're living among him. And so he knows that I made you. I know the men they have semen, and I know the women have menstrual cycles. Okay, and we want to talk a little bit about that. So uncleanness here is dealing both Tame, right? She's dealing with both male and female. Okay, so it's not only just the physical part of a person, right? But it's actually the spiritual part of a person, and the nefesh of the person, the soul of the person. You can't separate one from the other, right? So we're talking about male and female. When the male and female, they have certain parts of them that, you know, the Most High is talking about this discharge, okay, which is some type of fluid or some type of, you know, something that has to do with fluid, right? Because that's what a discharge is. It could be pus, it could be, you know, it could be oozing blood, it could be any of those things, okay? Some type of viral type of thing. But here it is, the man and the woman have, you know, either semen or the ovum. The ovum are the eggs of a woman and the blood. So then you got to ask yourself, okay, well, if semen is unclean, then how is it used to be able to produce a baby, right? Or how is, if an ovum is unclean, right? These eggs are unclean, then how is it possible that he'll use the semen to fertilize the ovum, the eggs, right? And what does this all have to do with? Well, the semen that comes from a man, right, has, give him a proper color here. The semen has life. It's the seed. It's life. It's living. Okay. In the Hebrew, it looks like this. Okay. That's the semen. Okay. It's seed. It's life. Okay. So it has the life potential. It has a life force. The egg has life. It has life in it. Okay. So when the egg is traveling, it travels through the blood. When a woman is having her menstrual cycle for 7 days, what's happening is these ovums are being released through her bloodstream. Okay. Because, you know, it says for us that blood has life in it, right? So you don't supposed to eat the blood. But here, this discharge or this flow of this fluid that's coming out has life in it. Okay. Now that it's coming out, right? If it's living, once it comes out, it goes through a process of death because it hasn't brought forth life. See, you see? So Yas, remember I told you, he's talking about life or death. That's why he says that if they come to my tabernacle and they're unclean, they got death on them. That's what discharge is. So whether it's semen or whether it's the eggs of a woman, it went from a living state to a death state. Okay. When you talk about the semen, the moment that oxygen hits the sperm cells or the semen, it dies. It has not accomplished what it's supposed to do to go and fertilize the egg. So that's when it dies. So if a man had a seminal emission, he had a wet dream, or he had sexual intercourse, and a discharge came out, and it didn't produce any life, it's death. So what we're understanding is the Most High doesn't want death around him. Because why? Why doesn't the Most High want death around him? Not only because it's unclean, but what is death? Why you don't want death around him? It's because Yah is life. And Yah is living. And this is what he's been saying to us. I'm the living Elohim. And the gods that you guys have served they don't even exist. They're nothings. They don't even live. Remember, as he says all the time, as I liveth. He makes promises based upon him living. He wanted us to know that he's the living Elohim. Why do you think he always mentions I see, I hear, when I speak? Why? Why does he say those things to us? He's telling us that I'm alive. I want you to have an awareness about me. When you look outside, you see nothing but living. You experience it every day. You breathe the air, you eat the food. You know what I'm saying? When you eat the fruits and the vegetables, those are living things until they rot away and they die. Would you eat a dead fruit? Would you eat a rotten apple? Huh? No, you won't. You only want to eat that which is living. You see? So Yah is letting us know through this that, hey, I don't want death around me. It's uncleanness. Okay, so your uncleanness is a form of death. That's why he calls it abominations and disgusting. And this is why Isaiah said that, the way that we're living right now, it's been for nothing. That's why he associated with withering leaves. And he says the minstrel, and he says this, and he said, it's all about life and death. That's what this is about. That's why people are so willing to become a Christian, because they get an automatic guarantee that they're going to have life. They want to live. So they'll take that, irregardless to it being true or not. Everybody has a desire to live. They even call themselves to say that they have the Spirit of the Most High in them while they're in their uncleanness. Speaking of uncleanness, I'll get to that in a second. Uncleanness is, or tameh, your little friend, the little nasty one, can be transmitted through contact. Okay? It can be contact through the body, the clothing, and the furnishings. So if someone had a seminal emission and he was unclean and he went out and he touched somebody, they became unclean. Think about this. I'm not trying to shame us. I'm not trying to make us feel bad. I'm just trying to tell us the reality between the difference between Yah and the difference between where you and I are at right now. How many people don't know about these laws? How many people that touch you and you shake their hand and you don't know where their hand been? How many people are having sexual intercourse and don't bathe their bodies immediately after? How many people that have menstrual cycles and they're sitting in restaurants and movie theaters and you're sitting in the same chair? I'm laughing because we're dumb. Excuse me, as a people. We're stupid. Like the Most High said, you guys are foolish. You guys really don't understand the difference between clean and unclean. That's why you need a priest to tell us these things. He's telling us, you guys are in an unclean land. And yes, your hands are tied. I tied your hands so you can understand where you're at. So you can receive this through bodies. You can receive this through clothing. You can receive this through furnishings. You sit on something that was unclean. You get it through contact. So you're receiving uncleanness, which is a form of death, through these things. If the person with the discharge touches a clay pot, it must be broken. Not broken, smashed. Okay. If he touches a wooden utensil, it must be rinsed with water. See? So these things right here, these are Yah's ways. What does he know about the wooden utensil versus the clay? Is it based upon density? What is it? Why the clay gets broken and the wood doesn't? Yah has very specific instructions that he wanted them to follow because he's talking about being set apart. This is just a reminder that we're not. Okay. Whoever touches his bed is to wash his clothes. Whoever touched somebody's bed, that person was unclean, they got to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water. That doesn't happen out here. He will be unclean until evening. Until. Whoever sits on anything the person with discharge sat on is to wash his clothes and bathe his body in water, or bathe himself in water. He will be unclean until evening. Anyone who touches the body of a dead person, or the person with, anyone who touches, I'm thinking about something else. Anyone who touches the body of a person with the discharge is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water. He will be unclean until the evening. I italicized until because until means in the Hebrew, let me write it up here, right here, is the letters an ayin and a dalet. Again, that's a witness. So you're going to be unclean until you witness the evening. Okay. That's what you got to witness. You got to witness the evening. And the evening is called, somebody tell me. Erev. Okay. Is there any connection between Erev and Erez? I don't know. I haven't looked at it. This just came in my mind. The evening is a mixture between light and darkness. Okay. That's what it is. That's what evening is. It's a mixture of light and darkness. Okay. So when you see the sky changing colors, that's when you know that it's evening. What this is saying is, I'm only going to give you uncleanness if you follow my instructions for an in particular time, okay, of that in particular day. Once I take you out of that day, you follow my instructions, and a mixture between light and darkness is basically called a transition. So what it is when you transition, Yah's talking, he's telling us, once you see the transition between the light going into darkness, then what you're doing now is you're going to come into that point. You're going to witness this. Once you see that, then you're going to be clean, because I want you to be clean for the following morning. So in the next day that you're in, I don't want you to be unclean if you follow my instructions. You see? So what can we learn from this? Right now, you and I are in a state of uncleanness. And right now, you and I have to transition out of it. And what's going to happen is, because there's two Arevs, there's not just one Arev, there's just not one evening. Okay? It's not. There's two.
Sunrise and sunset.
Yes. So one is the sunrise and the other one is the sunset. Yah always makes reference to him coming as the sun rises. But before that sun rises, you have to come to an Arev. You see? So you're going to transition out of your darkness into light. So let me clear it up right quick. Let me just do this real quick. So what Yah is saying to us is this. You have an Arev here, that's the sunset, and you have an Arev here, which is the sunset, and here's the sun rising, okay? And between these two in particular times right here, right, is night, is darkness, okay? You and I have been going through a time of darkness as a people, okay? That's what we've been doing. Once we come out of that darkness, we got to go through the Arev first, and then we'll come to the sunrise. Okay, this is the sunset. So Yah's letting us know right here is what your ancestors came to. And because they went unclean, ever since then, they never did what I told them to do. They remained in their uncleanness, and they're still in their uncleanness over time. But you're going to go through your Arev. You're transitioning. Arev means transition. So right now, you and I are transitioning out of darkness into light, because that's what night is. Night is darkness. Forgive me writing in this this color. Arev is not darkness. Arev is a transition. Darkness is in the night. So this is where we are right now. We're in darkness. We don't have the complete light of the Torah. What's going on with us is we're transitioning. We're going through time. All these are years and years and years and thousands of years. And then finally, we're starting to get a little glimpse. If you look on any chart, and you can look this up later on today, you look on Google and you look up twilight hours, and they have different degrees of light that come up right before the sun rises. There's 6 degrees. It's called 6 degrees of separation. It goes to 6 to 12 to 18. Okay. So the Most High is letting us know that, listen, you're in a state of uncleanness right now, but it's only going to be for a little while. Okay. This is only going to be for a little while because there's 2 evenings. So we have to take care right now to understand that, hey, we're in a time of transition. So don't get discouraged. Yah is not going to leave you in that space, okay, forever. It's only until a certain time. What is it about this word tameh? Where does she come from? The first letter is a tet, okay? And the tet means mud or clay. Okay, remember we talked about the clay pot that's able to absorb the impurities? Well, it comes from this word, this letter. Okay, the tet means mud or clay, right? That's what it's made from. It's a container. Okay, they usually make bowls or baskets out of this clay. So when you look at the letter, right, you want to find, well, how would they associate a basket or a bowl with this? Let me show you right here. Change my color. If you look carefully at the letter, it has somewhere to go inside. So it's shaped like a basket that could be filled with something. You see? So when you see this letter, you might see it in a printed form like this. That's a block way. And then you also might see it like this. Okay, it's a basket. Okay, so you can see this is what they used to carry on their head. Remember, put a little basket right there, and they would carry the basket on their head as they were walking. Okay, and so the basket would contain different storage and supplies and all kind of stuff, and they would hold it on their head as they were walking. Right, so that's what this letter is. So it has to do with its root has to do with clay and mud, and they would take that and form either a basket or a bowl. Some type of container. Okay, so that's what the letter tet means. Okay, or tate. So this is the first letter of tameh. So tameh has to do with mud, clay, basket, container, right? Something to hold. All right. The next letter of tameh is a mem, and a mem, of course, is water. And water is what? It's some type of fluid. This fluid could be, and this is the importance of the language. A lot of people don't want to deal with this, but it's the truth. Your fluid can be either water. Give me another fluid.
Blood.
It could be blood. What other? Give me something else. It could be pus. It could be mucus, which is literally it could be anything. It could be any of those things. Okay. Your fluid can actually be your tears. Your tears are like water, correct? Am I right? Are your tears like water? Dawid said they are. Said that you put them in a bag and you hold them. All my tears are put in a container. Yah stores away my tears. He puts them in a container for me. That's interesting, right? The fluid right now is being contained in your body. Water is being contained in your body. Other phlegm is being contained in your body, all different types of fluids. So that's why tameh is used for uncleanness when we talk about discharge, because it has to do with fluids. Because tameh is a container of water or fluid. Okay. And so this is what uncleanness is. It has to do with some type of water, some type of fluid that's in a container, right? When we talk about water and inside of a container, that water can either be stagnant, or it could be living. It could be actively moving. Stagnant water is the water that's not moving. Stagnant is the water that's just stale. It's not moving. I don't have a picture. I wanted to put one, but I couldn't find one that I really wanted. It's like having a riverbank that's clogged up with a whole bunch of stuff, and it stops the flow of the river. And so everything else is just stagnant, and the water starts turning like a murky green color, and there's no movement. There's no flow. Okay. So there's no flow. So if there's no flow, right? Let me show you and I'll try to describe it to you. If there's no flow, right? There's no flow. Flow stops because there was a whole bunch of right here, sticks and stuff like the water at that point is going to go brown. You see? And so it changes. This water right here is stagnant. It's not moving. It's flat because there's no flow. So when you look at, listen, praise be to the living Elohim. When you look at flow, flow is movement. That's why we can use the letter M for movement. Because the letter M comes from the idea of this, flow. So movement. When you have movement, you have life. When there is no movement and it's stagnant, that is death. So you can see the Yah still connecting us between life and death. And so this reaffirms what the Most High is talking about with Tameh, just who she is and what her root of her word, of her root to her, her word, her name. Just the two letters, the Tet and the Mem. And the last letter is, of course, an Aleph, which is strong, right? So this stagnant water is death, it's dying. Things are dying, okay? So when I thought about this, I said, well, Yah, what are the things that you want us to talk about? What do you want us to understand about this stagnant, this lack of movement, this lack of life? This basically what it is I'm dealing with your character. So what's going on with us is when we talk about our self-development, we're talking about our character, and we're talking about how do we improve ourselves, right? And are things moving in our life, or are we kind of just stagnant? We're just flat. When something becomes stagnant too, it becomes not only death, but it's very foul. It smells terrible. Okay. So, and one of the things that I'll give an example for is a porta pot. It just popped in my head. You go to a porta pot at a baseball game or a football game or any of the little league baseball game or any place where you have a porta pot, they don't have that water stagnant. That's why it smells that way, right? So when you think about something that's moving and living, and you go, it's fresh. Like when you go to Yosemite or you go to a river, you don't smell all that. Now when the water's flowing, you don't even smell anything. It's just so refreshing. But when you go to some place that doesn't have any movement and the water's just sitting there, then your life is literally like a porta pot. Okay, so the self-development is something that Yah wants us to work on. He wants us to work on our abilities and work on our character and who we are as people. Okay, and we become stagnant in that. We've given other attentions and energies to things that instead of ourselves. We kind of fall into patterns of not moving. And when you get into a pattern of not moving, you become stagnant, and then you're going to lose life. Okay, like anything, right? So we can also be stagnant in relationships. A lot of us too are in relationships that have no movement. There's no flow, and flow means that there's life. There's no life. So what the relationships that we have with people that are not moving, they're just relationships. And of course, some are out of convenience and some for other reasons, right? But if the relationship is not moving and it's not flowing, there's not no ebb and flow, it's stagnant and it's dying, right? It happens in marriages. It happens in business relationships. It happens in family relationships. It happens in friendships. It happens all the time. So what the Most High is saying is that you can receive Tameh, not just in your body and not just from clothing, not just in your house, He's talking about within yourself, within the things that you have around you. So you're not only wearing clothes, you're not only living in a house, you're not only sitting on a couch. There's other things that are part of your life that Yah is interested in. And that's the thing that people don't want to talk about or they don't know about, right? So Yah's interested in how we live our lives. That's beautiful to me, is that he's really interested in how much life are we getting out of our lives. Are we just sitting back and getting older and withering, or are we letting relationships die? Are we not interested or invested into those things? Like we're not interested in ourselves, right? So it'll start with you, right? Of this lack of self-development, not trying to get educated on things, just being a victim. Or then it spills off from you, and then it goes into the relationships. Do you see how important this is to get down? Because you're in a community of people. And so you're not actively bringing life to a situation, you're actually bringing death to the situation. And you'll bring others with you, okay? Big deal. A lot of us are stagnant in health and fitness. I was so happy to hear the other day, one of my sisters told me that she was on her treadmill. I felt so guilty because I haven't been doing any exercise for the last couple of days. I don't know what's been going on with me. I've been doing a lot of stuff. I've been cutting the yard and all that, but I need to get back to my exercise regimen. Dr. Kavik and Dr. Yared are putting a presentation on. I don't know if they want to share with everybody. I think they said it's free. Everybody could go. I might even try to attend myself. It talks about the connection between the mind and the body, right? Well, here, there's a lot of stagnation when we talk about health and we're talking about fitness. So depends on what you're eating and what you're doing. Yah's concerned with your health. If he wasn't concerned with our health, he would have never given us a diet. If he wasn't concerned with our health, he would never tell us the difference between clean and unclean. He doesn't want you to get worms by eating pork. He doesn't want you anything to die of itself. He doesn't want you to, do certain things, right? He wants you to, when he gave to the children of Israel, they went to the land, they had a certain diet that they had, which is full of grains and barley and nuts and fruits and vegetables, all this sort of thing, okay? Fitness, huge. The children of Israel used to be out in the fields when they were obedient, and they would have to use their hands and their feet, and they'd have to tie sheaves together and do work. So it was about working, right? So we don't want to be stagnant in this vessel, okay? So your water is literally your life. It's how, what are you doing? That's the thing. What's in your water? You know what I'm saying? Is your water flowing, or is it stagnant? Are you stagnant in your health? Are you